Hello, I'm Jenny Fern and welcome to my library. I'm a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who's really into permaculture and wants to talk about books. So let's talk about books. I really wanted to film a video and I didn't know what to film, so I was like, let's look around and see what people are doing. And of course, people are doing the beginning of spooky season fall type stuff. And I saw this really cool video by Fern's Shelf that I thought, hey, I'm just gonna steal this idea wholesale. And that is books that freaked me the fuck out. I think that's such a great way to describe these because I'm not really a horror person, but I do sometimes read books that are creepy or freaky or like get to me somewhere in like my bone marrow. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Not explicitly horror books, although some of them would be in that genre, but some of them are entirely different genres that are just kind of freaky. So the first book that I have here is the only book in this genre, and that's Solaris. And I have an awful cover. Stanislaw Lem writes some really interesting science fiction books, and Solaris is really good. Our main character is a psychologist. They all live on this like station observing this planet, and this planet is Solaris, and it has this spooky, roiling whatever sea that gets to people and makes them see people that don't exist. And specifically our character is basically seeing his ex and kind of hashing out their relationship again. It is just in your brain and weird and unsettling. An excellent piece of fiction. This was one of my favorite books that I read in 2016, and that is Wolf in White Van by John Darnielle. I don't know how to say it. Let's see what he has in the back so I don't spoil anything. He is isolated by a disfiguring injury since the age of 17, and he has been obsessed with this kind of like a role-playing game. He is really basically into this escapism. So I guess I should mention with all of these, look up trigger warnings because they are like creepy things. I just really connected with this book when I read it, and I haven't read it since, and because it has been a while, I am not so certain of its content anymore, to be honest, but I just remember it being a little unsettling. At least I just didn't know where it was gonna go. The next book I have was just so beautifully written, so haunting, scary in a way where like real life is scary. That is Idaho by Emily Ruskovich. If you're familiar at all with Shaylin Wrights, this is a book that I feel like she would like, although I have no idea if she likes this. I see a hummingbird going to my morning glories. Ah! So Idaho follows a woman who is now married to this man who's experiencing symptoms of like dementia. His ex-wife is in jail for, I don't even know if I can tell you, something really traumatic happens. It wrecked me. This was so beautifully written, and I was kind of upset because it's like a topic that I don't really want to read, but it was so well done that it's such an excellent book. But again, just gets into your heart and rips it into pieces. It's very visceral, so well written, and so creepy. Again, in the most realistic way. Be warned. I feel like anybody who's read this book would have to put it in this category. This is Perfume by Patrick Suskind. The story of a murderer. I saw somebody in a video making jasmine scented oil using fat and laying down the flowers on the fat. Because this book has a perfume maker in it, anytime I like think about perfume making or like see the techniques done, I just think of this book, and I just was like, oh, what a creepy process to have in a horrific way. The song by Nirvana, Scentless Apprentice, is about this book. It's just so creepy and gross. There is this man who does not have a scent, is just enamored with this particular young woman's smell, and he thinks if he can acquire that smell, like it'll give him the ability to do whatever he wants in some way. It's creepy. It's gross. Compared to those, this one feels a little tame, but this one's like thoroughly in the horror genre, and that is Hex by Thomas Oldhovelt. This is just a good old-fashioned witch takes over a town story. What this witch can do is so spooky. The whole story around like her background is also so spooky. The things that happen, I don't know. There are some elements of this book that are very like fun, but then like the core of what's going on can be very, very scary. I should mention I really enjoyed this one. I can't say that I liked this. And that is Beautiful Darkness by Fabian Vellman and Kara Scote. It is a graphic novel. The illustrations pretty clearly describe, like, they are gross, but like kind of cute, and the topics are like grotesque. It is just nasty. It's basically all of these little creatures. They're kind of like insects, but they look like cute little cartoon humans, and they come out of this dead girl's body. There's this dead girl in the woods, and they crawl out of her and they start like devouring her. And anyway, it's just this like very brutal survival kind of story. It's horrifying. This book really, really, really freaks me out. We've now reached the cannibalism portion of this. We have The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Such an excellent book, but yes, there are some freaky, gross cannibals in this book. So this is actually kind of a touching story about a father and son. They're in a post-apocalyptic hellscape. It is super dangerous, and it's really all about this man trying to protect his kid. And this book is about a girl, Natsuki, who has a really rough time of it as a child. She just feels so different from other people. She ends up marrying this man, and they decide together to go visit her grandparents' home, which was a place that she would spend her summers, and she had like, I guess, pleasant memories associated with it to a certain extent. Things go kind of wild. This book gets more and more unhinged as you go on. I just felt like I was so on board with Natsuki, and then you realize maybe you're also a little fucked up. This I loved, and it did freak me out a bit, but it's just a really good time, honestly. So that is everything that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know the books that freaked you the fuck out. I would love to hear what you have to say. If you enjoyed this, consider sharing it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Consider liking and subscribing. And I will be back again soon.